There were two cities represented here, Ahmedabad and Pune, so we were discussing the options. And in Ahmedabad, they have the community-based organizations which have worked, and they get their contracts directly with the government. But we didn't get sort of the details of it and how it works. So we would like to know more about it, because in the Pune context, we feel it won't work like that. Also because government will not want to work with 100 or 150 such small units. It's simpler for them to do it with that larger board or a cooperative. And anyways, waste is a sector where large companies are coming in. For such small players to survive, it will be very difficult. So we instead feel that the strength is that there is a mass base, there is a union backing this cooperative, the Swachh cooperative. So showing our strength on the streets is the only best solution at the end of the day. And fighting further.
Actually, we were discussing about the operational challenges. So in terms of a funding agency, most of the time we have this thing that who will be the right implementation partner, and how will you identify the right implementation partner. Then I mean, like, the solution would be like use of technology, and then even do the capacity building, and we do have our own monitoring, evaluation, learning team, and the capacity building team, which can go with the implementation partner if it doesn't have a proper proper capacity for implementing the program. So our own team can go and do the kind of capacity building, but we also have this I mean, like, reluctance from the partner side, or say I mean, like, they don't want to use the technology. Sometimes they say that we are using the existing systems and we are happy with whatever way we are doing our things. So I mean, it's little complicated situation. I mean, both the parties, there is a kind of conflict of interest, and I don't know what's the right solution for it. But when we were discussing it in the group, we found that yeah, we can have definitely we can solve this issue with the help of technology. Maybe changing the existing system, like giving an example of participatory rural appraisal. Like, with the passage of time, things have changed. Like, you don't actually need to make a resource map on the ground when you have access to smartphones and Google Maps. So with the help of these kind of things, you can actually solve some of the problems. If the organization even doesn't have a proper manpower or resource to conduct such kind of things, we can actually do it with the help of technology.
We looked at about 3 different types of stakeholders. One is, of course, the government, and with the government, what we realized was it's important that you. I think I'm just loud. So I think it's just important that we showcase it to them that we are serious, and we can do it in 2 ways. One is, of course, we'll have to go to them with quantitative numbers and reports and everything else if we have that. Or 2, one of our personal experiences was that, government officials trust a group of people. So when you are an organization and when you go to talk or for trainings or things like that, if just one person is going, it might not show as much commitment as 6 or 7 people going in, participating for some time and leaving. So that is one thing that we saw. The other thing was in terms of finding the right stakeholders. When it's more of an entrepreneur type of model and you need to find the right stakeholder, we thought that referrals is a great way of going forward. So if you have one successful entrepreneur, he refers another person to you, it will fall sort of under both increasing stakeholder engagement as well as operational challenges. Yeah. And finally, we thought when you're looking at more granular stakeholders, people on the ground, 2 things can help. One is they working for a larger cause, and 2, involving their families in the process. So if you are working with teachers, or if you're working with women, it's always better that you take their family into confidence, and that will increase your stakeholder engagement. And in the longer term, they might also become stakeholders in some way or the other. So these were the 4 things.
Funding, because that was our challenge. So So we are all energy companies here, and funding is our challenge. And we didn't get to the solution because that's a major solution we are looking for. But one of the things that in the fundings, the demand creation, that is something that really takes a lot of our resources in terms of financial resources. And the second is the willingness to pay for quality, because that is another way of how the financial resources are required. Because most of the people, for example, our customers, they're not necessarily always value the quality. They probably want to go for the cheapest product. So how do we create that there is, you have to pay for the quality. Now we were talking, but we couldn't get to a point that how we can solve this problem of funding.
Solution, okay? You will be a rich person because we'll all pay for the knowledge. Okay, what? Gobi. Well, Gobi and I had an interesting conversation, and I was pretty much getting to know what he does and telling him a little bit about what we do. Gobi has a for-profit company that has some very interesting characteristics. We are a not-for-profit. There are some interesting characteristics about how we go about the issues around development. Gobi stated something that I find is a problem also. So it has nothing to do with whether you're for-profit or not-for-profit, and that is how you expand your reach, how you become wider known. For us, it's gathering more, new partners. It's also fundraising, which for nonprofits, having more reach, doing a better job at PR and marketing, which not-for-profits are known to not do very well. And for Gobi, he's an engineer and a designer. And that's what his company is, and he may have the expertise to figure out how to go and not just make the pitch, because I think he would do that very well, but how do you identify your targets, and how do you communicate, and maybe even communicate differently if you're dealing with industrial clients versus someone like SELCO or other kinds of organizations. And the whole issue of how you go about doing that, how you measure it. We've gone through this exercise recently at S3 IDF, so I'm kind of good at this now. And also really understanding your own organization's characteristics. How are you different? What do you have to offer? And being very, very clear on that. So that's what we discussed.
Engagement, and we looked at it from both the supply side and demand side. When we say stakeholder, the line is blurred between community and government, but on the supply side, we were largely looking at community, and we said, how do we create proof points of impact in the community? How do we inform them of our successes, failures, as well as the progress we are making? How do we engage them in shared problem solving, and how do we empower them to become independent in solving those problems? On the demand side, some of the key points that we thought of, and these are largely keeping in mind the government, were one, how do we add value to what the stakeholder values instead of doing what we feel we should be doing. Second was similar to the point which Ulas shared, that how do we create champions within the system who can endorse the work we are doing, because people learn from people similar to them. And the third thing was, how do we amplify these bright spots that we've created to create a sense of competitiveness between wards that leads to changing the political will of people in other geographies or other worlds.